The workshop meeting of the Park District of Highland Park is hereby called to order at 6:07 p.m. on Tuesday, April 18th, 2017, here at the lovely Westridge Center. Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein?
Here.
Commissioner Flores-Weisskopf?
Here.
Commissioner Kaplan?
Here.
Vice President Ruttenberg?
Here.
President Myers?
And I am here as well. Good to see everyone again. You all have the agenda in front of you, and it was provided in our board packets. Any requests for additions to the agenda today? All right. First item of business is Ordinance 1703, adopting a disclosure compliance policy. Director Curtis.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So I'd actually like to address agenda items number 4 and 5 at the same time. They kind of all flow together.
Okay, so item 5 would be preparing and updating the disclosure policy and post-issuance compliance policy.
Thank you. So agenda item number 4 is Ordinance 1703. It's titled Adopting a Disclosure Compliance Policy. And this ordinance provides direction from the board to staff to adopt the disclosure compliance policy. So basically, the ordinance is just telling us to adopt the policy. So agenda item number 5 is that policy, and then in addition, a post-issuance compliance policy. So before I get into an explanation of the two policies, I would simply want to state that the ordinance and both policies properly document the procedures that the district has been following during the issuance of the 2016 and 17 bonds. So we've been doing these things, we just hadn't had the proper documentation for it. The ordinance and the policies were provided by Chapman and Cutler, and they are the district's bond counsel, and they have been our counsel for quite a few years with both 16 and 17's issuances. So the preparing and updating disclosure compliance policy addresses the district's responsibility in the preparation of the preliminary and final official statements, which are related to any type of debt issuance, whether they be debt certificates or bonds. And I believe during the bonding process, the preliminary official statement is included in your board packets. So within this policy is the appointment of the disclosure officer, which is usually the director of finance or the treasurer of the board. Procedures to ensure accuracy of the financial statement. There's a whole process that we have to go through to make sure that the information that we're including in there is accurate. It also addresses the district's responsibility to that accuracy. And then it also talks about the continuing disclosure to EMMA. EMMA is the Electronic Municipal Market Access System. And every year the information, our financial information needs to be updated on EMMA. And PMA, who is our bond advisors, have been retained to perform that annual reporting task on our behalf. And the bond post-issuance compliance policy, which the first one I was talking about was the disclosure. Now this one is the compliance policy. This addresses the need to demonstrate compliance with contractual agreements to ensure the federal tax status of the debt has not been compromised. Again, it starts out with the appointment of the disclosure officer. It explains or addresses that on a semi-annual basis, we need to, the disclosure officer will present to the board, present to the board the expenditures that have occurred in association with those bond proceeds. It also addresses the retention of records. We need to retain both the bond issuance paperwork as well as all the expenditure paperwork for the life of the bonds plus 3 years. And it also addresses our annual review and the presentation to the board regarding the contracts. Now, if you remember, in April, and I kind of arbitrarily chose April because it was a quiet financial month for me, I have been reporting to the board the status of the bonds and that the contracts that the district has gotten into or the agreements that we've made has not infringed on or changed the federal tax status. We need to keep those bonds tax exempt, and there's some rules and things that we need to do to ensure that. So that annual review is just the presentation documenting that compliance has been happening. So it's a very brief explanation on these two policies. I just want to repeat that these are procedures and policies that we have been following. We're just updating the documentation.
Questions from the board?
I just have one. Does the auditor have any role in this?
No, not really. Bond counsel has a bigger or larger role in it. If I have questions, that would be the first person that I turn to. But with that said, the auditors do audit all of our bond payments, and they're making sure that we're, meeting our obligations and things like that. If we weren't, or if there was a problem in what we were doing, that would come up as a
Well,
management
because
comment.
this is compliance issues, and I was wondering if they review those and we provide that policy to the auditors and they verify that we're complying. Is there?
I will give them these policies,
Yeah.
but that's beyond the scope of the audit.
Okay.
So you said Chapman and Cutler recommended updating our existing policies, or are these net new policies?
They are new. And I'm saying this with hesitation in my voice because somewhere the district had to have had these policies. But in going through my old records, I don't have them electronically. It's possible that they were never electronically done. They might have just been paper done, and so I do not have them. So I went to Chapman Cutler to say, let's start new. Let's just have some fresh, updated ones. But because the procedures were in place already, and I'm following what my predecessors have done, there must have been something.
So we've appointed a disclosure officer previously?
Not in our lifetimes here.
Yeah.
So when we say we've had procedures in place before, what procedures did we have before this?
Well, with the debt certificates, I know it was being reported, the spend down, those reports were coming through the board. The Emma filings, that's been happening. I don't know that that's been reported to the board, but that has been happening on an annual basis. And then I know that I've been the one reporting on demonstrating the compliance to keep the federal tax status.
So how did this issue come to our attention? Did Chapman and Cutler raise it, or did we raise it with them?
During the bonding process, we have a phone conversation where we go through a whole long checklist of things, and Liza participates in that as well. And it was just one of the questions on the checklist, and so when it came about, I was like, yeah, of course we're doing these things. And he said, well, do you have the documentation? It just kind of went from there.
A policy,
Yeah.
a formal policy.
Right, but they've been our bond counsel for years, right? Have they asked that question before this year? I'm trying to figure out what happened that caused this issue to come up now.
I don't know if there was a change in we haven't issued debt. I don't even think we've issued debt since I've been here. I think it came to an end right after I started. We did the debt certificates.
2010 was the last year, I think, maybe.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what we did. The debt
And I can't-
certificates in 16 and 17 were our new. Yeah, the last time a bond issuance happened was in 2010.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my recollection.
And
I'm not to answer your question, Scott. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Chapman, revamped their questions because he was working off of a script that they're asking everybody that they're working with. I'm not sure.
So I'm asking because I'm trying to figure out if we have any concerns with our prior compliance. Do we have any issues retrospectively?
I don't believe we do. I know that you're up to date with Emma, and I know I've brought us up to date with the tax status.
Do you know if these policies are required, or are these just best practices?
How do you mean required? I definitely the best
Like the law
practices.
says you have to have all of.
Oh yeah,
these.
because we're following. What is it? Yes. Oh, I don't have it with me. I'm sorry. I brought a different folder. Yeah, this is the law.
So Scott, is your concern?
So it's,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I do have it with me. Pursuant to the district's responsibilities under securities law, including the continuing disclosure of the undertakings, it's Rule 15C2-12 of the Security and Exchange Act of 1934 as amended. So as I continue to amend that law, this is one of the amendments to it, so yes.
So is your concern our last two issuances were not consistent with this policy?
Well, it's a couple of things. It's that. It's also, I'd like to understand what caused this issue to come up now, to see if there was a specific problem that triggered this, or if this is just updated due diligence. Are there other things that we need to address as part of this process?
I do not believe there's anything else that we need to address, and I believe it was just due diligence on the part of Chapman and Cutler of asking us, do we have this? Part of this is...
So they weren't concerned with
No,
this?
no,
Okay.
no. The,
No, and just on a side note, relative to the policy, so we have our policy manual, all of our policies reviewed by Ansel Glenk every 5 years. And we are in the process right now of a new review, so we are going through, staff is going through every single policy. And if there are policies that we believe are more time sensitive, we did the transgender policy. I think there have been a couple of other policies that we have put forward to have them as practices right now. And that in 2017, we'll be coming back to you with the entire policy manual. But Ansel Glink has never, I mean, I don't know that they would even catch that. But my impression from our discussions with Kelly from Chapman and Cutler is this, just get it done. And there was no issue with what we've done in the past because procedurally, we have done it properly. We just need it memorialized, I guess, is the proper word.
We've done it this way forever anyway.
At least in our lifetimes
Or
around
codifying.
this table, yeah.
Codifying what you've done already in
Yep.
writing.
correct, yeah.
It doesn't negatively impact our last two bond issues, even though they were not, they were consistent with the policy, even though the policy wasn't in existence.
Correct, and I can document that we have been doing these things, and even though the policy wasn't.
Yeah.
This doesn't impact the rating of the district? Or no?
Oh, no, no.
And when Chapman and Cutler brought it up, I mean, it wasn't even a matter of, there was no, it was just a very matter of fact, we'll send you
Yeah.
a draft policy, just get it adopted.
So, but for them figuring that, notifying us, we wouldn't know, there's no way we would have known about this.
Right.
Sounds to me as if they were just going through their checklist,
Yeah.
They were.
and this was,
Or do you have your policy?
yeah,
Yeah.
policy. No recriminations or accusations, it was just,
Yeah.
it was.
Right, this was a
the light bulb came on that
housekeeping
we
kind
needed a
of thing.
policy. It was
Yeah.
housekeeping.
It truly was. And now at April's, so on the 25th, April's board meeting, I will again be addressing the post-issuance compliance policy in my report to you, talking about the taxability status of both the debt certificates and the bond issuance for 2016, just like I've done in the previous years.
Do we have to retroactively? do
No,
anything?
so it looks like I just pulled up the rule while we're talking. So this is actually SEC Rule 15C212
Stay out of that.
requires dealers. So this actually is a rule that does not apply to us. We're the issuer. It requires dealers when underwriting certain types of municipal securities to ensure that the state or local government issuing the bonds, be us, enters into an agreement to provide certain information to the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board about the securities on an ongoing basis. This continuing disclosure agreement for new issues after December 2010 normally requires the following. It lists a bunch of things. So it sounds like, since this was our first bond issuance post-December 2010, is that right?
Didn't we have one
We
last
issued
year?
one
We had
last year.
16
One
last
last year.
year.
Well, so bottom line is, it looks like if there's a problem with the rule, it's a problem for the underwriters and the dealers. It's not a problem for us. So I'm not too worried about it. So this is really just to make sure that our underwriters have the disclosures that they need to comply with SEC requirements. So I don't see it being a big deal. Can you do me a favor? Just confirm with Chapman and Cutler that we don't have any retrospective problems with this. I just want to have asked the question.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Confirm no issues with Chapman and Cutler.
Okay,
with
sure.
the prior
With the
issuances.
retroactive
Yeah.
to the last two issuances.
Okay.
So is this in their disclosures, or?
How much did we issue last year?
$3 million. They're 5-year bonds.
All right.
Is there any penalty for not having such a policy?
I don't believe so. I think the penalty would be if we hadn't been actually doing,
Well, again, it looks like
Things,
if there's a
and we've been-
penalty, it would be on the dealer or the underwriter. It wouldn't be on us.
I think
But we
that
can-
we look at this, I've looked at this more as a best practice than a requirement, but we'll confirm all of that.
but if it was ever come to question, I can document that we have been doing the things that we're supposed to.
Right. I mean, it would be a problem if we had represented that we had entered into these agreements and we hadn't. I don't recall making that representation.
None at all, none at all.
We don't know what Liza signed, so Liza's responsible.
It's not on me.
As a general matter, I try not to screw around with the federal securities laws.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Like to make sure we're doing this right.
I wonder why.
Yeah,
They're saying
right.
there's a blue sky tonight.
So let's just make sure that Chapman and Cutler are all copacetic with that.
Yep.
Are we in the safe harbor?
And they reviewed these policies and procedures. These
They
came from
provided
Or is
their.
that later on?
Okay, so
That's all I know.
Okay.
Extent of my
any other
knowledge of
questions or
securities.
comments from the board on this topic?
Would you like these on consent or
Consent's fine.
unfinished business?
Consent.
Yeah.
That's what
Any
I
objection to
figured.
putting them on
Consent.
consent?
Thank you,
I think we've talked about them enough.
thank you.
Avoid a public discussion of our material noncompliance with the federal securities laws? Is that what you're suggesting? All right, seems like a good strategy to me.
Okay.
All right, next item. So that takes us through 4 and 5. So next item is 6, RCHP improvements update. Mr. Romes.
Good evening.
This is more
Good
fun.
evening.
There's pictures too.
Are you aware of the compliance requirements for health clubs now?
Ladders?
Absolutely. Well, thank you all. First of all, I just want a special thanks to Mitch. He's on his second week of overnight graveyard shift. He and the rec center staff and Bowler Construction really have done a really excellent job of doing everything we can to minimize the impact on our members. And by that, as we put in the project, there's some overnight demo work so that our members aren't affected by that. So Mitch probably has only slept 2 hours in the past 24 hours, but he's here tonight to assist. And we have a short presentation here just to kind of give you some pictures and an update of what's been happening over at the Recreation Center. So Phase 1, which is for the lower level, has begun. As we know, we've hired Buller Construction as our general contractor. They began work on March 8th on the lower level. The progress in the month of March was mostly demolition in the lower level. So if you've been down there, there's
Sir,
a...
Brian, give me 1 second.
Yeah,
Is it-
sure.
Can I get, is this on our screens?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
the
not-
little
I'm not.
orange and green.
what do I got to hit? Allow?
Got it.
I have it.
Yeah, we got it. Just
You
hit the
have
orange
it?
and green.
Yeah.
I got it.
The little.
You got it now?
Yeah, I got it.
All good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this picture on the right is just the rendering of what it will look, but not what it looks like today. But so the demolition has begun. Obviously, they removed all the carpet, tore down some of the walls, removed the ceiling, and did got rid of the kitchen. The kitchen is gone, and they began most of the framing for where the new drywall will go, and things of that nature. The one thing that did cause a little bit of a snafu was the partition wall that will separate the two rooms. So the new partition wall has a specially engineered piece of steel that basically holds up the partition wall. And our original construction documents from the project when the building was first built actually did not adequately show everything that was done in the final project. The drawings did not, that we gave Woodhouse Sanucci, did not show what was actually in the ceiling, for example. So there was HVAC vents that not in the location that they were given, and when we tore out a wall, there was a sewage pipe that we did not know was there. So that caused a little bit of a complication, set us back about 2 weeks. We had to redo drawings to move the location of the partition wall. They had to re-engineer the steel. They had to work with the engineer for the HVAC to re-engineer the vents, and then they had to redraw everything. So that took some time, and it did delay the project a little bit. And unfortunately, they couldn't do any additional work because everything has to come after that work is done. So with that said, we are a little bit behind, and if you were to walk there today, and in fact, what's going on, Mr. Wright? What? Okay. If you were to go there today, you would see this. So as of today, looking at the picture on the left here, and I'll use my mouse, you can see at the far left here, that's the door that has always been there for room 101. This frame right here is where the kitchen used to be. That is now where the new steel frame is up here that holds the new partition wall. And then there's a frame up here that'll hold the partition wall. That has been put in. There's a new HVAC vent right here, which has been in to accommodate, of course, that new steel. So that has all been put in, and we're basically in high gear from this point forward now that that part of the project has been complete. If you look over to the right here, you can see this is our existing windows that face the outside, and you can see the gentleman right here tearing out the masonry work this afternoon. And by now, probably all that masonry is gone, and hopefully there's a frame in it, and that glass will be put in this week. By also to happen this week, they should begin the drywall. So you can see on the north wall there where the mirrors will be. That used to face, well, it does face the pool, but you can't see the pool obviously anymore. But the framing that's there, so the drywall will be put there this week. Hopefully by this time next Tuesday, all the drywall will be put up, and it'll start to actually look like a group exercise studio a little bit more. As soon as they do that, we'll get into painting. They'll paint the walls, they'll paint the ceiling. Shortly after that, probably the first week of May, we will bring in our fitness equipment, the new piece of equipment that we purchased, the Queen X. Direct Fitness Solutions is the company we're using to install that. After that is installed, they will install the bamboo floor. Things will start to take shape, and it'll eventually look like this with the bamboo floors. You can see up here, this is what the Queen X will look like. This is where the drywall is going to start to be put up in the glass mirrors next week. Our new glass window over here, and things are really starting to shape up, and progress will start to happen relatively quickly. So in regards to Phase 2 of the project, originally Phase 2 was scheduled to begin May 1st. We actually moved that up 2 weeks. So if you were to go over to the rec center today, you would notice that we actually have started Phase 2. We sent out communication to our members last week, and we're hoping that by starting 2 weeks early upstairs, we can catch up some of that lost time and still complete the project on schedule. So again, there's overnight demo this week. They were there last night. That wall appeared this morning. That wall right there is a construction wall that starts behind the front desk, and it wraps all the way around the member services office, the fitness office, all the way up to where the bathrooms are, right over by the stretching area. So there really is not a big impact to the members right now with this wall. The only impact is that the day lockers are behind that area. So today there were no day lockers, but they're going to take them out tonight, and then tomorrow there will be a smaller number, but there will be day lockers for the members to use. We're hoping now that it's getting warmer out, there won't be as many jackets and such needed, but it's a small inconvenience to our members, especially since we're hoping that they will be very grateful when they see the nice new renovations to the rec center. So,
Patience and gratitude are the hallmark of our patrons, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
And we're not closing.
we are not closing. We will close for Phase 3, but we always close at that time of year. And I'll kind of go over that as well. But in this area for Phase 2 upstairs, it will be the new day locker area, the new member retreat area, fitness supervisor's office, and new trainer's office, which will be expanded with 2 massage beds, which a lot of our personal training clients have requested. From a financial standpoint, March was a very small portion of the budget because, as you can see, $899,300 is our budget for the project from Bowler Construction, and it was only $53,302 for the month of March, which was mostly for the demo. It's about 7% of the project was completed. Our soft costs are currently at $80,601 for a $400,000 budget. We have not used any of our contingency fund as of now, which is a good thing. We have, as I said in the memo, we have had quite a few change orders that have come about, mostly due to the fact that we had to rework the HVAC, we had to redo the steel, we had to redo some drawings. Those are not shown in the March financials because they happen in April, so we'll see those next month. I'll reflect those in the April financials, and we'll also have a list for the board to review next week.
Do we have other savings that will make up some of the
Yes.
contingency?
Bowler has been really, really good about our change orders. They have really initiated several value engineering change orders that we have been able to take advantage of to actually save money. So if you were to look at year-to-date right now, we're actually under budget. It doesn't mean that we'll end up that way, but today we're actually a little under budget because we were able to save on some lighting. They found some cheaper, less expensive lights for us that still definitely fit within our standard and things of that nature. So they've been great from that standpoint. And they're doing everything they can to stay on schedule and obviously within budget. The last slide that I have here is really just an estimated project schedule update. Completion of Phase 1, the lower level, should be completed by May 19th. That's the hope at this point. Things do kind of change week to week, but May 19th is a date that we're comfortable right now. So Phase 2, the member retreat area, which I just went through, did begin last night. So today that temporary wall is up. And then Phase 2, the remaining areas, which would be the stretching area and the current group exercise studio, that phase will begin immediately after Phase 1 is completed, so May 19th. Phase 3 is the facility closure portion. That's when we move all the fitness equipment, put in new carpet, paint all the walls, put in the new floor by the free weight area, as well as a new floor by the stretching area. So all that work, we have to close for all that work. So, and then we put in new lighting on the fitness floor and in the hallway entering the member retreat area. So that'll all happen during a 7 to 8 period is what the plan is right now. And then we're going to estimate a grand opening August 28th. We said we would be opening early September, so we're planning on, again, staying on schedule and within budget. Any questions?
Just a clarification, if I could. When is the wall being demolished for the Group X room stretch? Do we know, when, is that the May 19th?
Yep, May 19th is when they will build the construction wall around the group exercise studio. So it'll happen in tandem with completing the downstairs so that there's a smooth transition. As soon as downstairs is open for business, we can start building the wall for upstairs so that they have, the Group X participants have a place to go.
So are they going to put up the construction wall and do the demo from the inside?
Yes.
That's what I was wondering. Good, great.
I have one quick question. When we get to Phase 3, you've got it closed for 8 days. Usually it's 5. Are we going to be able to maybe finish the bottom so that the courts and the Group X and the pool can still be used while we finish? Because the work is going to take longer than upstairs. But if it's safe to have people on the stairs, can we open the bottom after the 5-day period and keep working on the top floor?
I think Mitch and his staff, I think you guys, and you could speak to it, we talked about it because we're not going to redo the gym. We typically sand and refinish
Right.
the gym floor, which we don't have to do every year. We recommend that we do it every year, but if we don't do it this year, we think we'll be just fine with.
But that
preventative
downstairs
maintenance.
takes 5
Right.
days.
So I don't know if
It's
Yeah.
definitely feasible that we could stick with our typical schedule, close for 5 days and open only the lower level. There's some timing with the pool this year too. We're not certain if we need the full 2-week period this year for the pool. So, again, we typically, for operations, try to align that with everything, closing outdoor and reopening indoor. But it is feasible that we could do a similar 5-day and then just open the downstairs. You're right, we couldn't get everything done upstairs in 5 days, so
No,
this is
no.
why right now we're saying we're keeping the whole building closed for that 7-day period, but that's just right now a thought. We haven't released that schedule yet, and we haven't announced our close dates yet to the public.
Are we still building the wall for closing the entranceway to the track?
Yeah. Yep.
And that'll happen during phase 3?
That happens actually during phase 2.
Yeah. That'll happen during phase 2. So there won't be any there's no temporary walls, though, that are scheduled for that. So that might happen overnight.
Okay, that would be that short a project? So the walkers won't be affected that
We'll
long?
confirm with them. Yeah.
'Cause maybe we do it during phase 3 when the track is closed anyway.
Yeah, we'll definitely confirm the timing on that.
How will the renovations affect the party rentals?
Well, so right now, 101, the old 101 and 102 were heavily used in the afternoons on Saturdays and Sundays. And because our group exercise schedule, we don't have classes in the afternoon on Saturday, Sunday, it doesn't impact it significantly. There will be some type of impact. So let's say, for example, a noon rental on a Saturday, Sunday isn't as feasible as it is or it was. But afternoon rentals, 2, 3 o'clock, party rentals is still definitely feasible to be able to utilize that room for that. Other types of rentals, weekday, if somebody wanted that program room in the evening, those won't be possible anymore. But weekend party rentals are still going to be possible.
Can we use the cafe
Yeah,
at the
can we use a
country club?
cafe room for that?
For
For rentals?
Well, we are right now utilizing the cafe for some of the party rentals while the cafe is closed. And I know we're changing into the season now where the cafe is reopening, so that limits our capabilities. But we have been for the last 2 months using.
And it worked
using
well.
that.
My son had a birthday party for the pool. I mean, it was pretty easy. I'm not sure, though, as far as if it was like a basketball party where they have to kind of come around. I'd just be cautious of that because it's a long walk and, kids are wild and you turn the corner. But it did work for us. I mean, but we had a pool party, so they just came from the locker.
Are you going to come back and give us an update between now and September?
Yeah, I think the plan is to do an update
Well,
every
we're
month.
talking about monthly updates. Some may be small, some may be larger.
Should we get financials every update?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
That's
gotta
the
say,
plan.
Mitch, you look so tired. No, you really do.
You look good, though.
You look in the best way possible. I mean, thank you. I can't imagine what it must be like to be. I mean, it's the only way this project is going to work, and the less impact would be just going 24/7.
Anybody else care to comment on Mitch's appearance before we?
It's a great time. It's a great time.
I tell myself too, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a clip-on?
All right, anything else on this?
Well, thank you all again for your
Thank you, gentlemen.
support and everything.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Go to bed, Mitch.
Good night, Mitch.
No, he's going to work.
So,
Any ghosts in the place in the middle of the night?
No, we have blankets though, so I
Yeah.
have.
Okay.
Night at the museum.
In the yoga room.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
next item is Highland Park Country Club operations. Yay, Rob!
There he is.
Somebody fall asleep there?
I'm not going to fall asleep yet. But I'm up at 3 anyways with him. So,
Very nice,
Nice
to
to
see
have you
you.
back. Great to have you back.
thank
So
you.
the threshold question, is that a clip-on tie?
No.
I already showed no.
Well,
Yeah.
there's some people who
There's-
haven't.
You don't see Rob in a tie very often.
But he looks good in one.
Mm-hmm.
It's-
Oh, I don't need to tie now. Can I take it off now?
Yeah, you're fine.
As you know, the Park District, as of January 1, we took over the golf operations at Highland Park Country Club. So right as of now, Cole and I, the 2 remaining Park District employees, We're overseeing all golf operations, the golf, the pro shop, the rangers, starters, desk, card attendants, and we are overseeing the range staff. All the employees are under Kemper, but they report to me.
How's that working
It's a
out?
fun situation. So Kemper is in charge of the grounds, the course management, the cafe, and the banquets. We've got our line set, so we're all pretty good for now.
Most days.
Most days. So over the winter, Liz, with help of Liz, we created a new website. So it's golfhighlandpark.org. That covers both Highland Park and Sunset Valley. Sunset Valley will have, as we get going, all the renovations, all pictures, renovations will go to that website. Highland Park Country Club at the present time will have the banquets, anything golf operations, memberships, things like that, so they will have all that information for now. Okay, over the past year, or this winter, we brought all our golf carts from Sunset Valley over to Highland Park Country Club. We have 65 carts, and we did not do anything with Highland Park, so we will use them when we have an outing of some size. Apparently they have a few that will need about 20 more than our carts can handle. So we also have another year lease on our carts, so that's part of the reason why it works out quite well. On May 19th and 26th, or excuse me, March 19th and 26th, we held our golf lottery. So did that for permanent times. This year we had 17 groups signed up. Last year, Highland Park Country Club had a total of 6, which were just their VIP members. So they really didn't have a lot of permanent times. Previous year at Sunset, we had 30 groups. Now, part of the reasoning we have fewer is that, like our men's tee club is not going to be active at Highland Park. A lot of the players decided to go elsewhere. The Ladies League is still there, so I get to have fun with them
Decided
on.
to go elsewhere than play the country club?
Yes,
Wow.
But they're not functioning
They're
as
not
the
as
T
functioning
group
as a T
this
club.
summer.
but the players as groups are going.
Disbanded.
Do you remember people saying we won't play at Highland Park Country Club?
Yes.
Is Lee
That's
Rosenberg
them.
playing there?
Apparently they
Lee
weren't kidding.
Rosenberg is
Yeah.
playing there. He has a permanent time.
Wow.
He used to play there.
He
And,
used
and
to
the
be a
women,
member.
because I remember very specifically, the women also had the same battle cry. There's no way we will play at Highland Park Country Club, but they like their league, they like their Tuesdays, so they
I'm sure
caved.
Kathy Nachman has something to say about that, so.
We expect them to come back once we reopen Sunset
Yes.
Valley.
Absolutely.
Good.
Okay. New this year, we reconfigured our season memberships. This year they're called Silver, Gold, and Platinum. Okay, so each of them has a benefit. The Silver, which is basically our weekday pass, Monday through Friday, they get the unlimited golf, but they also get a discount in the golf shop. The Gold is a 7-day membership, so it's any time. They get a percentage off in the Pro Shop too. They also get a range pass, so hopefully they'll start practicing a little bit. Hopefully. The Platinum has, again, 7-day unlimited. They have unlimited use of golf cart. They get unlimited use of the range. We give them discount in the golf shop, and they get a CDJ handicap. So the more that they spend, the more we really gave to them. At the current time, we had 6 platinum members and 16 gold. I expect to have more coming in, a lot more for the weekday, as the people start coming back from supposedly warmer temperatures. So it should start to work out some.
How much are the passes?
The resident rate, okay.
Both. I'll take both.
The resident for the Silver is $1,000. The gold is 1,400. The platinum is 2,600.
And do you think that's
and
gonna-
if you're for residents. Now, if you're a junior or senior, there's a $100 discount on all those. And the non-resident, it's 12 for the 12, 17, and 26. And then again, juniors and seniors get a $100 discount off of those.
Do we do military discount too?
If no one has asked, but yes,
And do you think that,
15%.
15%.
is that going to carry over when we go back to Sunset Valley, that same system?
That is yet to be determined. No,
This is a-
we haven't.
See
Okay.
how it goes.
It'll be a entire different thing with having two courses at the same time open.
Are we having a junior rate like we had at Sunset Valley, where it's
Yes,
like
there's-
$500 or whatever that is? That
That
might,
junior pass was not there. They went straight to the silver.
so have you had any pushback on that yet?
No,
How many junior passes did we sell last year at Sunset?
under 20.
No.
There weren't that many.
That's something we should think about.
It can be adjusted.
Yeah, because I don't know if they're going to want to pay $1,000 for a junior
Yeah.
pass, where it was, well, last year that's 100% increase over what it was last year.
Had Kemper offered junior passes in the past?
No.
That's what I thought.
Well, what was it last year at Sunset? Was it like $550, I think?
520 for a resident and 560 or 80 for non.
Now you're talking about over $1,000.
Yeah. I think Sunset Valley was a much more welcoming course for juniors than was Highland Park Country Club, so we'll talk to Kemper.
Yeah.
We could do that, not a problem.
Okay.
The membership started on April 1st, and April 8th was our first lottery date for the permanent times. It was also the first date that the driving range opened. We are this year making sure that the golf course opens every day at 6 a.m. So that it's a little different from what they've done in the past. Okay, for outings, Highland Park presently has 17 on their books. Last year they had 25. They do expect to have a few more, so it's going to be, those will be interesting days. I'll have to learn how to use them. We're almost finished hiring most of the staff all the way around. Still got a few spots we're looking for, but it is coming along. The last part we're going to, so as of the end of March, the country club had 1,544 rounds. The same time last year, they had 244. They only opened in mid-March. Same time last year for Sunset, we had 1,291. And as of this year, as of last weekend, we have had 973 rounds in April. So people are playing, as long as the weather's nice. Okay. Any questions?
What kind of feedback are you getting from the Sunset regulars about playing at the country club? They tolerate it, they're not happy, they like it, or?
The complainers are complaining. The ones that just like playing golf, it's the normal. As you said, the ones who don't like Highland Park Country Club are going to tell me every time.
Or they're going to go elsewhere.
They do understand that it's temporary, so we could build them a better golf course, right? I mean, they understand the concept.
Yes. I
Okay.
understand.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing to complain about, since the whole idea
No,
is
but I
to.
can tell you, it's the people that I've heard, is that people have come up to me and said, this further ratifies and provides us a little comfort that we picked the right course, because there's a lot of people who aren't happy. They're tolerating.
So we will not be revisiting Green Print and reconsidering.
No,
our-
no, they're
our hastily
tolerating
made
playing. They're
consideration.
not doing it. They're not doing willingly, but they understand why.
Well, there's a section of the course that's, you don't feel safe.
Great.
Yes.
That's
I mean,
very
It's
there's a
very
section where
tight.
a couple holes come together and it's tree line and you don't see it and you just hear balls whizzing.
Or bouncing off trees.
awesome. Alert Paderma. Did you have a comment, or was that your
I
comment?
did have, no, I do have a comment. So Saturday night I was in Los Angeles at a condolence call. and I was talking to someone who's into golf, and I think it was Golf Atlas,
Yeah, I think that's right.
and they had a list of the top 10 golf course constructions around the country that they were following for their members. We were the 5th, and there was links to our website and our history
crazy.
of Greenprint and everything we went through to do the renovations and work at Sunset.
So is that a national?
It's a national organization.
Did you know about that, Liz? Oh, wow. If you can give me the link.
I didn't know that we have been linked already.
We're linked.
But I've looked at it and just to check it and see.
Yeah, it's linked.
It's links to
If you-
links.
What?
Links to links.
Yeah, exactly. But if you could get us that site, I'd like to take a look at it and see. Yeah.
Tell me, what were the numbers compared to last year?
For the rounds so far?
All
Or
in, we're up more rounds this year than last year?
as of the end of March,
Hmm?
we're up about 250 rounds compared Highland Park to Sunset. If we put them together, they're about equal.
Just remember, we had rounds in February.
Let's see.
We had 0 rounds last year.
That's
Right.
right. That's
Well,
right.
February was
Really
crazy.
nice.
Yes, our
But we
spring
had-
in February was
We had
lovely.
January and March, so.
Yeah. It's all comes out in the wash.
All right. Well, for what it's worth, I've not heard any complaints about this outside of what came up during the election. So I think the community seems to have made peace with this. Have we heard anything from Legacy Club further?
They're not here. They're not in town yet.
Right.
We have to wait about a month.
Right.
You've heard?
Well, I've had a brief conversation with the new president.
There's
Who's
a
the-
new
who's the new
president.
It was just a very brief. It was a quick phone call, and that was it.
What did he want?
He just wanted to introduce himself,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the extent of the message. So
So my brother lives on the 6th hole. He already has a jar in his living room of 25, 30 balls that he's found on his property from those people slicing. And his house has been hit twice with big holes in it too.
Nice.
It's a bad site.
Yeah, it's
That's a
terrible.
bad area.
Yeah.
He's looking forward to the course closing.
Good times.
So he's gonna sell the balls back to us, or?
He's only the Pro V ones.
Anyone else? Anything else on that? Very nice.
Thank you. We're really
Very
excited.
nice to have you back.
thanks.
How do you like the Pro Shop?
It's different.
Yeah.
Good
Well, are
Before
you
you
getting
get
any
back?
thoughts from that pro shop to our facility when we do it?
It will depend on what the renovation. Those haven't come through yet. What the total things are yet.
But
And there's some ideas in there.
There's some ideas.
Mhm.
I didn't prompt it. But
I know. Trust us, it will be a vast improvement, and when we have further details, we will provide them to you.
Yay. All right.
Vast is an understatement.
Last thing I just talked about. That's it.
Next topic, Rosewood operations update.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you, John.
John's favorite time of year,
Absolutely.
ice and frozen water and unfrozen water.
Yeah. So the beach season actually begins Saturday, Memorial Day weekend, when the operations start for the summer. The season runs from that 27th all the way through Labor Day. Beginning of May 27th is when we have our public swimming hours available, with the first 2 weekends before we go into our regular season, June 12th through August 20th. In preparation for the summer, the aquatics team will conduct over 80 hours of training, including waterfront lifeguard certification as well as emergency action plan trainings at Rosewood Beach. Altogether, we employ over 100 lifeguards in order to safely operate our aquatics facilities. So we're continuing to recruit and hire as we speak, and we have a wide variety of positions available. So anyone that may be interested, we highly encourage them to visit our website and apply. All necessary training will be provided, and we're really looking forward to continuing to recruit and just get everyone we possibly can to join our team. As far as concessions for this upcoming summer season, we're excited to work with Organic Life. we're working closely with them as we speak to really take a look at the menu to ensure a wide variety as well as comparable pricing to previous years, and really dedicated to ensuring a peanut-free environment and just exceptional customer service that our residents expect. The Rosewood Beach lower lot will continue to be parking only for residents. We'll be working closely with the police department, and parking rules will be strictly enforced along with the staff monitoring on a daily basis. We will be having an upcoming meeting with the police next week, actually, to discuss the enforcement of the parking lot, and we're really excited to just have a strong partnership to really enforce all of the regulations that we have in place. New for 2017, we will be having a parking auto attendant installed at the upper lot of Rosewood, which we're excited about because it's going to provide a really efficient method of collecting parking fees for the non-residents. In fact, we'll no longer need to send customers over to Hidden Creek to purchase their day passes, which is really good. The auto attendant provides an on-site service to pay the required non-resident parking fees, so it'll enhance the ability to collect the fees and also allow for us to collect that attendance-related statistics that helps us navigate into future seasons. The parking attendant will give us the ability to collect fees 7 days a week, even when we don't have a staff member present to do so. So it's pretty much all day, every day. The ability to collect the fees consistently, as well as the aggressive lot monitoring from the police and the staff, will really just provide a lot of additional revenue for the district, especially revenue that wasn't previously captured. The good news about the parking attendant is multifunctional, which means we'll be leveraging the unit to collect non-resident daily admission fees as well this year. So new for this year, non-residents will be charged a daily fee of $10 per person, payable at the attendant as well. So we plan to have staff strategically placed at the upper lot to help enforce with this and check residency, as well as just provide a customer service touch point to ensure that we're following all of our procedures and really educating the public on what to expect. And a component of that will be also really speaking with our residents to inform them of what we're doing to really monitor the enforcement of the non-residents, but also educate them on what we hope to do in the future with just providing possible beach passes that they can come collect in the off-season to prepare us for 2018. So it's really a grand introduction of this, but also an educational process. We're currently developing processes to further prevent non-resident vehicles from accessing the lower lot. So we will have staff placed in designated locations to verify residency of vehicles prior to allowing them access to the parking lot space, which means they won't be able to go all the way down to provide a turnaround. We're going to catch them prior to that and point them into the right direction. All non-resident vehicles will be instructed to park in the upper lot and pay fees at the parking attendant. We'll have overflow parking available at Ravinia School Lot, such as last year, on the weekends with our shuttle service provided. So new this year, we'll be working with Uncle Dan's Outfitters to provide the stand-up paddleboard rentals at Rosewood. Uncle Dan's, as you may know, is located in Highland Park, and we have a really positive working history with them as a district. So we're excited to offer that added service to our community. And also new this year, we will be having 2 emergency phones installed on the lower beach along the boardwalk in 2 different areas. So to help combat any type of poor phone signal, we'll have that in place for emergencies. So those will be installed shortly. They're already up, but we're putting on the finishing touches. As far as it relates to the interpretive center, we will continue to host the Sand Trackers Camp on weekdays at our facility. Similar to last year, the building will be open to the public Memorial Day through Labor Day. And based upon customer demand over the off-season, we have decided to allow facility rentals to be available in the evening 7 days a week rather than just weekends. The rentals themselves will take place in the evening hours after the normal operations of the beach, so it will not impact the normal flow of parking. And then all in all, we're just really excited for the summer start. We're committed to doing whatever we can to provide the best possible beach service for our community.
Questions?
Just a quick, real quick.
Yes, sir.
So if a non-resident or somebody rents the facility down there, their guests can park in the lower lot if they're not Highland Park residents?
That's
for-
correct.
For their event?
Yep, through our rental staff, we'll be having the hanging decals similar to last year, and we'll proactively display that and communicate processes.
Good, thank you.
So we're charging non-residents to use the beach?
That's correct.
Were we allowed to do
$10
that?
a person to use the beach?
thought
or
we weren't allowed
$10
to
a
do
car?
We are allowed to do
Per
that.
person.
It is
So-
per person.
3 and under free.
So we'll have parking fees as well as daily admission fees for non-residents.
The rule with DNR is that you can charge up to 1.5 times what you charge your residents. In instances where you charge your residents 0, you can do a survey of surrounding communities that provide a like facility and take an average of what they charge and charge that to your non-residents.
So that should be higher than $10. Glencoe and Lake
Well-
Forest are ridiculous.
Well, keep in mind too that we have the parking. Lake Forest, you can't compare because they have no state money, so they charge, I mean, if we factored them into the average, you're right, it would be beyond ridiculous.
What does Lake Forest charge?
Do you remember from the survey? I mean,
It was definitely the highest out of all of the
I think
local benchmarks.
they don't, you have to have a parking pass if you're a non-resident. And it's like, yeah, it is like
parking
$1,000,
pass.
something like that.
They had that.
Oh,
and
so
they
you
had
can't
the
buy
daily
dailies?
fees.
You,
Yeah, no.
I mean, I think
No.
it'd probably
No.
be smart to publicize that that's how we came up with the $10.
Mm-hmm.
It's the average of,
Right.
because I know that in the past when we've discussed this in front of a lot of people, we've represented that we can't charge anything because we took
For
federal money.
non-residents, yeah.
For non-
And
we took
the
federal money.
challenge was, because we don't want to charge our residents, and this board has held very steadfast that we won't charge our non-residents.
Our
So
residents.
further digging and discussions with DNR has resulted in this. Because when we left you at the end of last summer, we were talking about it, because last summer was a really busy summer at Rosewood. And so we said, let us continue to investigate how we can deal with the non-resident issue. And this is where we are. So this is really going to be our introductory year. I think our goal is really to try and provide as little inconvenience to the residents as possible. But by the same token, we do want to capture non-resident fees because we are the only free beach to non-residents this side of Chicago. Because I think Evanston charges, and everyone else charges. But the difference too is that every community except this community charges their residents. So it's a much easier system to monitor because as residents, you're either going in and buying your family's season passes or you're just paying a daily fee at the door.
there should be very little local pushback because if that provides more parking and more access for the locals, they'll be happy with that. We're going to have issues with grandparents who have kids who are non-residents who are going to want to bring their kids to the beach, so we'll deal with that. But I don't see this being a fight. The only thing, I know it came up when we were building Rosewood, there was some concern in the community they didn't want their access to the beach impeded by anyone checking IDs for residency, which we will now have. So query whether that will be an issue or not, but
Right.
we'll find
And
out.
that, yeah, so this is sort of our break-in. I think we're going to learn a lot, and because then in 18 we can roll out a solid program. But we didn't know, it was just recently that we learned that this auto attendant could provide the little daily fee pass. Because the biggest issue before that in dealing with auditors and cash management is you don't want kids hanging out with bags of cash because we have no station. And some of the other lakefront communities have stations. So this really is a win solution because we can keep our staff up top and right there with the auto attendant and catch them before they get there.
Can we use that at the dog park too?
Scott, what
Well,
was the
we're-
question?
Whether we can use the same system at the dog park for people to buy passes for their dogs?
Well, we just went to the FOB system, so we
For
require you to
residences,
buy,
but we could have non-residences buy a daily pass.
or they buy a non-resident pass and no daily fee.
Ideally, I'd love to see us integrate all of it, but that's way down the road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
is-
so this is pretty cool. We're
This is
excited
very
about
cool.
this.
is this like the box in the city of Chicago
Yes.
for the parking meters? Oh, I hate those. But
So what'll happen with field trips? Do we charge by the bus? Because $10 is a lot.
For camps, we have a different program with our fellow park districts, so.
You mentioned that the new food purveyor, it's Organic Life.
Correct.
You said it was peanut-free?
Yeah,
Is it?
so when we preliminarily met with them, we made sure we emphasized our wanting of that. And so we're reviewing their menu and finalizing everything to make sure we can
So-
get as close to possible as absolutely no peanuts with.
What about other non-peanut nuts?
I mean,
Nut-
I'm referring
nut
to
free.
all nuts,
Yeah.
basically, is
No,
our
so
emphasis.
nut-free.
Yes, nut-free.
Well, that's...
With the understanding that some things are processed that they
No,
provide.
totally
so-
get it. The reason I ask is because there are some people who are allergic
Absolutely.
to peanuts and some people are allergic to
Yep.
tree nuts and some both. And so we just, whatever it is, we
Yep.
should make sure what you don't want to do is tell somebody that it's all nuts if it's just peanuts and vice
Absolutely.
versa. I think now the rules, at least for schools, allow them to have EpiPens. Do we know if our lifeguards are allowed to
Our
have EpiPens?
Paderma is not a proponent of our having our staff with EpiPens.
We're trained on their use, but we encourage the self-use of EpiPens.
But do we have any in case there's an emergency? Why would Paderma discourage the use that would potentially keep someone from dying?
I have to, I mean, we've, because this has been asked of us before, and we haven't, and I can't remember what their position on it was, but I'm pretty sure that they were not in favor of it, whether it was fast and strong, because sometimes they'll just say we don't recommend it, other times they say no, so we'll go back and
Yeah, we can clarify.
double check that.
Well, I mean, it's a function of safety versus liability, right? I mean, we've got tort immunity anyway. The argument would be you don't want to let our staff have EpiPens because if they use it and something still happens or they use it improperly, then we'd be responsible. I get it. But I'm not sure that's different from any other piece of life-saving equipment that we have, including the
Oxygen.
oxygen and the defibrillators. And at the end of the day, if that keeps a kid from dying, why would we not do that?
I'm not going to pretend to cite what I recall some of the conversation being. We'll come back with the answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, out of curiosity, how was the beach cleanup as far as how much damage did the dogs do? Because you know we had a big issue with people wanting to bring their dogs down and they weren't allowed during the season, but during the off season we couldn't stop them.
When I've been down there, I haven't noticed
think there's
much
been-
at all.
They've been pretty good.
Good.
And our guy he started on weekends. Mike the Ranger. Yeah. Yeah, and I get daily, if there's a problem, I have a neighbor who calls me. And actually, this neighbor happens to be now one of our foundation members, and he has said it really has not been bad.
Okay.
That's
So-
great.
Are you guys aware that IDOT's talking about closing Sheridan Road right in front of Rosewood?
Yeah, in
next year.
2018
Yes.
for their sidewalk.
No.
Oh, no.
For the
City's doing a
culvert.
sidewalk on the west side, the IDOT's doing a culvert, and we have already talked with the city about trying to coordinate this so that it can take place before Memorial Day or after Labor Day, but it's IDOT, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, because I was at the city today, they told me about that, is that they're trying to push IDOT back until after September, and they're using Rosewood and Ravinia as the two reasons not to do that.
Right.
But if, there could be a road closure right near the front entrance of Rosewood Beach.
Yep.
Would
And
it
then
cover both entrances, or could we still park at the top?
You can still park at both, but I think that the road will be closed.
Right. In there.
You'll just be able to come in and out from
Come
maybe
from the-
not from both
Yeah,
directions.
that's right.
The
that's
north.
right. Come in from the.
Because they're going to
north
rebuild the
side.
culvert, and they're building another culvert close to Roger Williams.
So, yes.
So if we could try to coordinate with the city to try to lobby
And I
IDOT.
think we sent IDOT, if I remember, we sent IDOT a letter and copied the city on it requesting that they do the work after the beach season.
Maybe we should reach out to Scott Drury and see if we can get him involved.
Because if we could push it back after September, that'd be a big help. And I think we could coordinate with the city, because the city has an interest, obviously, in pushing back the start date also.
Yeah, well,
And the city can't control it. Obviously, you know that Sheridan Road is not a city street.
Right.
It's
It's
IDOT.
IDOT.
How long a project are they talking?
Excuse me?
How long a project?
It's a long project. They're going to rip up the street.
that'll be fine.
Yeah.
But it's a good idea that if there's an issue to get Scott Drury involved in this.
Or Julie Morrison or something,
Yeah, I'm
because...
making no note to
Yeah.
contact both of them.
Okay.
Which township is that? Is that
It's Moraine.
Yeah.
But that doesn't care. It's
They're
it's
both-
IDOT. It's all IDOT.
Okay.
Okay.
unbelievable? Okay. Excellent report. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Thank you. Next up, everyone's favorite, the review of vouchers.
The bills presented for the board's review on April 18th, which is today, are checks written from March 17th, 2017 through April 13th, 2017, totaling $713,968.49. These are all budgeted expenditures.
Okay. Any questions?
No,
That's
I looked at, didn't see anything that was like, oh my God, look at that.
Oh, no, there really wasn't.
Liza, just going back on the last matter, the city's going to have a meeting with regard to the sidewalk on the west side of Sheridan Road, and I don't have the date, but I think that we should participate in that meeting because they're going to talk to the residents about where they're going to place that sidewalk, and obviously that may impact trying to create better access to Rosewood. Because right now they put that sidewalk on the east side of Sheridan,
They're
And-
putting it on, we know they're putting it on the west side.
but I think we should be involved in those conversations.
And they had a preliminary meeting, because we've been on the
Yes.
mailing list, because I just got an email today from the city about a meeting that they're having on drainage improvements over by Sunset, so I'll
Check and
find
see if
out,
there's, if
yeah.
there's another meeting with a neighborhood meeting. I think we should be proactive with that
Yeah.
and be involved.
You know, if I may, they're raising another good point. If there is a sidewalk access on the west side, people
Sidewalk
from,
to nowhere.
well, not necessarily, people will use it, kids with bikes, et cetera, will be coming down on the sidewalk to cross over to get to Rosewood.
Right.
So we just got to make sure that can be accomplished
But
safely.
I'm more concerned if it's a very difficult curve coming around there, as you remember,
Yeah.
and having a crosswalk there could be disastrous.
I mean, maybe get Perderma involved in that too or something, but something where we're involved in those discussions.
Right, because we told them that we have no plans to put a sidewalk down the road to Rosewood. That was never our plan, that our pedestrian access was from Roger Williams.
You ever thought about
And-
putting a carriage walk there? Or? That's right. That's not a sidewalk. It's just like attached to the curb. So you see those where it's attached to the curb, maybe another couple feet on one side of the curb instead of an actual full sidewalk, which is separated. Dan, you know what a carriage walk is? You know what a carriage walk is? It's attached to the curb.
Yeah,
It hooks on?
well, and
Okay.
you're dealing in the ravine there, so,
Yeah.
I mean, but we talked, because we actually discussed this probably a year or so ago, but we'll talk to them.
That's all involved with that sidewalk because I know that some people are for it, some people are against it. So it's going to be an interesting discussion.
Would
They're
you call
against
it
the
a carriage
sidewalk?
what?
It's called a carriage walk
Why are people against the sidewalk?
because they don't want people. They don't want more people down there. It's NIMBYs.
They also don't want people walking in front of their
Yes.
houses on Sheridan Road.
See what a carriage? You looking it up, Lori? It's attached to the curb, and it's a sidewalk attached to a curb.
But I think, Cal, on the same point, without spending a lot of time on it
Yeah.
now, we
Oh,
should
maybe
be
this
very
is a
careful that we
carriage walk,
don't
it's
do
just a
anything to
thick-
encourage people using the roadway down, especially if there's a sidewalk across the way. We might want to make sure there's a fence or something to stop people from crossing, because that's a very dangerous area when
Yes.
cars come around the curve.
Yeah.
It looks like it's
It's
So
like
it's
a
a good
little
thing you brought it
sidewalk.
up.
Yeah, but a sidewalk is
Skinny
traditionally
sidewalk.
is separated from the curb, and this is right up against the curb.
Oh, okay. It's a sidewalk attached to the curb.
Yes, that's what I was trying to.
Yeah, pretty
It's
much.
actually just reminded me of something else to go back. John, I saw that we're doing some work to fix some of the washout on the ravine path down to Rosewood Beach. Are we in what it looks like just from the rain washed
Yeah,
out
it
some of
did.
the.
I was looking at carriage walk, I'm sorry.
No,
They're usually, Lori, they're usually narrower than a normal sidewalk.
So,
Yeah.
so we have
Yeah.
had erosion issues at the top section of Rosewood. So we have come up with a inexpensive plan to put some drainage in to try and avoid, because every time you get a heavy storm, you get the washout. So we're using some different material on the subsurface to help with drainage and having all of that washout.
Is the city working on the culvert? Is that going to impact Rosewood at all?
We just learned of this, so we have not.
Oh, excuse me,
had any-
IDOT working on the culvert, yeah.
That I don't know.
Wait, so are we replacing the rocks that washed away or putting in a wood border? I'm just curious what we're doing to reinforce the path.
So the top, about 50 feet or so, what we're going to do is pull the screens out And there's kind of a honeycomb system. There'll be a bottom layer, and then there's sand and loose gravel that won't get compacted, and another layer of the honeycomb on top, so the water will infiltrate in between about the 8 to 10 inches, and then it'll connect to one of the drainages down. So where the biggest washout at the top we're hoping that this is going to come.
And what do we do for the border along the
Yeah,
drainage?
some of that will get repaired as.
Rock, wood, what do I'm,
Rock.
Yeah, stone.
we're gonna put the stones back.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
You're giving me an engineering explanation, and I wanted the aesthetic explanation. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
I don't care if it works. I want to know that it looks pretty. There you go.
Kind of like the Emerald Ash Borer.
Ah, yes. No, it was a very good answer. I
think
should have
we-
asked that question
For
too.
Terry, we're going to need an update on the Emerald Ash Borer when he's on the board.
I'm going to give you Brian Green's phone number. Should block out a weekend. All right. Wow, that was a long meeting. Open to the public to address the board. I don't think we have any public. I suppose
Technically, Terry's still public.
you want to address the board?
Tell me a little about the ash borer.
No, but I can tell you a lot about the ash borer.
It's not our friend.
All right. So, any other items of business? Anybody want to call anything back, or we're going to move into closed? Can I get a motion to go into closed pursuant to the usual sections?
So move. Second.
We call the roll.